Join our community by subscribing. Every click helps us share more stories like this one. Introduction. In the heart of the small town of Willow Creek, nestled between rolling hills and thick forests, a chilling mystery began to unfold on a crisp autumn morning. The sun hadn't fully risen, casting a pale light over the streets, when a local jogger stumbled upon something unusual along the banks of Lake Seraphine. At first, it appeared to be nothing more than an abandoned bundle of clothes, draped haphazardly over a branch. But as he approached, the unmistakable scent of decay filled his nostrils, and confusion turned to horror. The jogger's trembling fingers fumbled for his phone, desperately dialing 911 as he glanced around, hoping to find someone who might have witnessed this unsettling discovery. Within minutes, sirens wailed through the quiet town, slicing the early morning calm. Officers arrived, their faces a mixture of professionalism and unease as they cordoned off the area, signaling to the gathered onlookers that they were not to cross the yellow tape marking the scene of yet another tragedy. Detective Sarah Weaver, a seasoned investigator with over a decade of experience, stepped from her vehicle, her footsteps heavy with the weight of countless cases. The sight before her was hauntingly familiar. A life interrupted, a story left unfinished. Bending down to examine the tattered clothing, she felt a familiar knot tighten in her stomach. This was a scene she had encountered too often, yet never became numb to. Today, Willow Creek would be shaken to its core, and the narrative of its tranquility would be rewritten by the shadow of violence. As the sun continued its slow ascent, casting long shadows across the ground, the detective braced herself for a long day ahead. The race against time had begun. The victim, as investigators would soon learn, was a 29-year-old local artist named Mia Jensen, renowned for her vibrant murals that adorned the walls of cafes and shops throughout Willow Creek. Mia was a beloved figure in the community. Her laughter often echoed through the market square as she painted alongside children, teaching them to express their creativity in the colors of the world around them. But beneath the surface of her sunny disposition lay wrinkles of complexity. An artist, fiercely dedicated to her work, but hiding personal demons that few could see. Detective Weaver hunched over a file in the dim glow of her office the day following the discovery. The file contained a photo of Mia, her amber hair cascading over her shoulders, and a paintbrush poised mid-strike, a radiant smile stretching across her face. In interviews, community members described her as passionate yet enigmatic, someone who often seemed lost in her own world of colors and canvas. But whispers of trouble surfaced among the digging, relationships fraught with tension, struggles with anxiety, and recent bouts of isolation had begun to color the memories of her friends. As the detective compiled the pieces of Mia's life, a troubling narrative emerged. She had recently ended a long-term relationship, an event that seemed to ripple through the town. Local diners recounted whispered conversations about arguments, hurt feelings, and the slow disintegration of what had once been a beautiful love story, now a memory tainted by bitterness. The weight of grief hung heavy in the air, punctuated by the haunting question: who would want to harm the vibrant spirit of Mia Jensen? Detective Weaver knew that the key to solving this mystery lay in understanding not only who Mia was as an artist, but also who she was as a friend, a daughter, and perhaps most crucially, a lover. With every new testimony, The layers of Mia's life peeled back, revealing a woman who craved connection but was ensnared in a web of unresolved conflict. The deeper the detective dug, the more she realized that the truth might be darker than anyone in Willow Creek wanted to acknowledge. The crime scene. The sun had fully risen by the time crime scene investigators set up their mobile lab by Lake Seraphin. The autumn leaves clung stubbornly to the trees, swirling in the brisk wind as if trying to escape the weight of what had transpired. Detective Weaver walked the perimeter of the area, understanding that every inch of the site held potential plus the unturned stones of an untold story. The blue and white forensic tents flapped softly as she moved toward the shoreline where Mia's body had been found. A path had been beaten down by the hurried steps of officers and curious locals. The grass flattened disturbingly close to the water's edge. The team had worked through the night, meticulously collecting evidence, but Detective Weaver's heart sank. There was something hauntingly serene about the lake, yet the darkness beneath the surface was palpable. From the evidence gathered, it was clear that Mia's death was violent, a dark contrast to the beauty she so fervently painted. Forensics had confirmed that she had suffered blunt force trauma, the injuries severe enough to suggest a struggle. Yet, there had been no sign of her attacker, no footprints leading away from the scene. No witnesses who had stumbled upon the confrontation. The detective knelt down, studying the ground. A few yards from the water, an overturned paint palette caught her eye, its crushed colors scattered like broken dreams. Nearby, a single earring lay nestled in the dirt, gold and delicate, likely belonging to Mia. Alone, it invoked a powerful image of loss, symbolizing the vibrant spark of life, now extinct. Gathered evidence also hinted at a distinct lack of personal effects. Mia's phone and wallet had not been recovered, sparking the troubling thought that this may not have been a mere case of happenstance. As the lake glistened under the morning sun, Detective Weaver could almost hear whispers of tranquility being interrupted. The beauty of the scene masked the horror that had unfolded here at this junction of life and death. The question lingered unaddressed. What had happened in the moments leading up to Mia's demise? The tranquility of Willow Creek had been punctured, and in its wake, a deep conspiracy lay waiting to unravel. The early investigation. In the days that followed Mia Jensen's grim discovery, the Willow Creek Police Department launched an all-out manhunt for answers. Detective Weaver stood firmly at the helm, her focus unyielding as she meticulously sifted through leads, conducting interviews that often spiraled deep into the labyrinth of relationships that surrounded Mia. First, she reached out to Mia's close friends, gathering in a small coffee shop adorned with her murals. The smell of brewing coffee was aromatic and inviting, a stark contrast to the heaviness of their grief. One by one, they recounted stories of Mia's life as if the mere act of speaking her name would keep the memory alive. But as the conversations unfolded, the atmosphere thickened with tension. Beneath the laughter and stories about nocturnal painting sessions and art shows was a palpable current of unease. "There was someone," whispered Lila, a close confidant, her voice trembling. After she broke up with Jason, she said she felt like someone was watching her. She mentioned a guy, someone she met at an art gallery. I never thought. Her voice trailed off, lost in a haze of disbelief. Detective Weaver's ears perked up at the mention of Jason. Mia's recent ex, Jason Cartera, a local musician with a temperament as fiery as his talent. Interviews with friends pointed to an ugly breakup that left both parties wounded, but more concerning, filled with unresolved feelings. Jason was known in town not only for his gift of music, but also for his penchant for jealousy. Questions rippled through the detective's mind. Was he merely heartbroken? Or was there something darker simmering beneath the surface? Visiting Jason's apartment on the outskirts of town, she found it neatly adorned with posters of his music career. Yet there was an absence of warmth, as if the space was frozen in a moment before disaster. As she stepped inside with her partner, Officer Harris, a beat-up guitar leaned silently against the wall, betraying a sense of abandonment. Jason's absence weighed heavily in the air. Knocking on the door, Weaver felt a tightness in her chest, determined to confront the man who might still carry splinters of their shared past. As the door creaked open to reveal Jason's hollow expression, Weaver's instincts churned this would not be an easy conversation. The early investigation had opened a door to a maze of emotions and possibilities, and she was ready to chase down every lead, even if it meant tearing the town apart at the scene. The dead ends. The first few weeks of the investigation were a blur of faces, alibis, and unfulfilled hopes. As Detective Weaver sat alone at her desk, cluttered with notes and photographs of Mia, the frustration of unanswered questions gnawed at her. The case felt like a tightly knotted ball of string with threads leading nowhere. Every promising lead seemed to dissolve, leaving only whispers and uncertainty in its wake. Jason, while initially a suspect, had provided a solid alibi through friends. He was at a gig the night Mia died. Though the timeline allowed for some flexibility, there were no concrete connections tying him to the crime. Weaver's gut told her there was more to the story. But with each new interview, it became clear that no one wanted to speak ill of the heartbroken musician. Next, the detective turned her focus to the last known interactions Mia had before her death. Her phone records revealed frequent messaging with a gallery owner from out of town, Ethan Brand. Ethan had recently encouraged Mia to expand her reach beyond Willow Creek's small art scene. But when she tracked him down, he appeared genuinely shocked by her death, claiming their conversations had been purely professional. His eagerness to launch Mia's career seemed to evaporate in the wake of her demise, overshadowed by grief rather than guilt. Visiting the gallery, Weaver felt the airy space tinged with a sense of loss. Paintings hung on the walls like ghosts, and as she scanned the pieces, a feeling of melancholy enveloped her. But Ethan's clear alibi during the time frame of the incident provided no leads, compelling the detective to close the door on yet another suspect. Days melted into weeks, and the town's chatter began to turn, shifting from concern to suspicion of the investigators themselves. Gossip spread like wildfire. What were they doing wrong? Had they overlooked something crucial? With each dead end, the frustration seeped deeper into Willow Creek, clouding the atmosphere with despair. Weaver was more determined than ever, but with every unyielding clue and evasive witness, a growing fear gnawed at her what? If the truth of Mia's demise remained buried, lost forever in the dark. A break in the case. It was a gray afternoon when a tiny flicker of hope ignited in the dim ambience of Detective Weaver's office. She sat at her desk, once again sifting through the mountains of information scattered around her. Among the photographs of Mia, the interview notes, and the various profiles of potential suspects, one particular item had always nagged at her: the lone earring, discovered at the crime scene. With renewed resolve, she decided to send the earring to the forensic lab for advanced analysis. opting to explore any potential DNA traces that may have been left behind. While it felt like a long shot, it was the only solid piece of evidence they had. Days passed in a seemingly endless cycle, each one feeling heavier than the last. Just when she was ready to sink back into despair, an envelope landed on her desk like a breath of fresh air. The lab results had arrived. Detective Weaver tore it open, reading quickly as the world around her faded into silence. The specialized analysis had yielded something unexpected. Traces of skin cells detected on the earring were identified as belonging to a Malasomion who was unfamiliar to Mia. The breakthrough sent adrenaline coursing through her veins. She had a lead. Finally, yet, her heart pounded with urgency as she feared another layer of deception might be waiting. Almost immediately, an APB was issued to find potential matches to the DNA profile collected from the evidence. As the data filtered through the system, the needle began to move. Within a few days, the name of a local handyman emerged. Marcus Reed, a man with a known history of harassment and several encounters with law enforcement for complaints lodged against him by women in the area. The pieces began to align. Ominously, Marcus had frequented the gallery where Mia exhibited her work, and witnesses recalled his uncomfortable stares lingering too long on the vibrant artist. Detective Weaver's instincts kicked into high gear. The urgency to confront him pulsed at her fingertips. The town may have been in the grip of fear and uncertainty, but now there was a face to the darkness that had descended upon Willow Creek. As Weaver prepared to bring Marcus in, she felt a renewed strength surging within her. The path forward was fraught with uncertainties, but for the first time since Mia's death, the flicker of justice ignited a fire of determination, compelling her to chase down the answers that had eluded her for far too long. The suspect, Marcus Reed's small apartment, was tucked away at the edge of town, obscured by thickets of overgrown bushes and a creaky wooden fence that was barely upright. Detective Weaver parked her car along the narrow street, the sun dipping lower in the sky, casting long shadows that mirrored the unease she felt churning in her gut. With Officer Harris beside her, they made their way to the apartment door, the atmosphere heavy with anticipation. As they knocked, the sound resonated against the worn walls. Moments past breath held in an awkward silence before the door swung open, revealing Marcus in a faded t-shirt stained with grease. His dark hair was tousled, giving him an air of dishevelment that solidified the creeping suspicion in Weaver's mind. His eyes darted over the two officers, a flicker of panic given their rigid demeanor. "Can we come in?" Weaver asked, her voice steady but commanding. Yeah? Sure," he stammered, stepping aside, his body language betraying an unease that belied the casual response. They entered the dimly lit living room, where energy-efficient bulbs flickered sporadically. Crumpled newspapers were strewn across the floor, alongside unfinished projects that indicated his trade as a handyman. The clutter felt like a physical manifestation of the man's chaotic state of mind, each item a fragment of his tangled existence. Weaver wasted no time, launching straight into questioning as she paced the room. "Marcus, we need to talk about Mia Jensen. You were seen nearby the day she died. Do you know her?" His expression shifted, a shadow passing over his features. "Yeah, I knew her. Good artist," but his voice trailed off, the unsaid words hanging heavily in the air. "Did you have any interactions with her at the gallery?" Detective Weaver pressed, noting the flinch in his posture. I just look. "I didn't mean to make her uncomfortable," he stuttered. "I thought she'd like my work. I tried to talk to her. But did you ever touch her? Did you follow her?" The question came out like steel, sharp and unyielding. His demeanor changed drastically in a heartbeat, eyes flaring with indignation. "No, I wouldn't hurt her. Just leave me out of this," he shouted, the anger resonating like a warning bell. It was now or never. Weir's mind raced as she realized that every evasive answer meant the net was tightening around him. Despite his protestations, this was a man with a dark history who had now been linked to Mia Jensen in a way more sinister than mere admiration. The conversation had solidified suspicions and ignited a resolute determination within her. Marcus Reed might just hold the answers they desperately sought. And it was time to peel back the layers of his bravado, revealing the truth that lay hidden beneath. The trial. The day of the trial had arrived, sweeping over Willow Creek with an energy charged by a mixture of dread and anticipation. The usually serene town was abuzz with murmurs. Everyone seemed to have an opinion about Marcus Reed and the life of Mia Jensen. As Detective Weaver stepped into the courthouse, its high ceilings and ornate decor felt almost surreal against the weight of what was about to unfold. Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere was thick with tension. The jury sat in silent rows, their expressions a blend of curiosity and solemnity, while observers filled the benches, eager for clarity in a case that had gripped their lives. The judge took her seat, and the gavel struck, signaling the beginning of the proceedings. Prosecutor Emily Wright was first to present the case, her voice unwavering as she outlined the evidence against Marcus. On the night of Mia Jensen's death, she was found at Lake Seraphin, a victim of brutal violence. Key evidence, including DNA found on a personal item belonging to Mia, links the defendant directly to the crime scene. Each assertion hung in the air, the stronger claims met by a chorus of murmurs from spectators. Detective Weaver remained vigilant, her heart pounding as each piece of evidence was laid bare, from witness testimonies about Marcus's unsettling behavior to the chilling phone records that showed an escalation of contact with Mia leading up to her death. The trial was about to rewrite the narratives of their lives, but a nagging doubt stirred within her. Would it be enough? When the defense took its turn, Marcus's lawyer, a sharp-eyed man with an air of confidence, countered the prosecution's narrative with vigor. "This evidence is circumstantial at best. There are no eyewitnesses that saw Mr. Reed commit this crime. No concrete motive established. Mia Jensen was loved by many, and there are several undisclosed potential suspects, upstanding citizens of this town, I might add." As the trial continued day after day, the humanity of both Marcus and Mia emerged in stark contrast. Personal testimonies, including Mia's vibrant ambitions, her dreams of showcasing her art, painted a vivid picture of what had been lost. By contrast, insights into Marcus's troubled past, the harassment allegations, erratic behavior, painted him as a troubled man, but not necessarily a killer. Each witness brought the courtroom closer to a fever pitch. Apprehension and uncertainty wrapped themselves around the jurors like a heavy blanket. As the final day approached, Detective Weaver leaned over her notes in the early dawn light, struggling against her own defenses. Had they missed something crucial? Would the jury see Marcus for what he was, or would they uphold the distorted mirror of his troubled persona? As she entered the courtroom for the last time, her heart raced now. All they had left was the weight of time, and hope lingered like a fragile flame ignited in the darkness. The verdict awaited, tantalizingly close yet frightfully uncertain, poised to echo through Willow Creek forever. The aftermath. The verdict had been rendered, shaking the very foundations of Willow Creek. As the gavel struck down, a heavy silence fell over the courtroom, thick with disbelief and emotion. "We, the jury, find the defendant, Marcus Reed, guilty of second-degree murder." The words echoed, rippling through the spectators, each gasp a testament to the collective sorrow. Detective Weaver stood at the back, her heart a cacophony of relief and pain. Mia Jensen's light had been extinguished cruelly, but justice had found a way to break through the layers of dark. Yet, even as Marcus was led away in handcuffs, the enormity of what had transpired seeped into the cracks of the townsfolk's souls. In the streets and the coffee shops, conversations ebbed and flowed, sharing in the complicated tapestry of grief and relief. Mia's art became a symbol of resilienza moral. Depicting her vibrant spirit was commissioned, adorned on the town's community center, a haunting reminder lives intersected by fate. Each brush stroke told a story, the colors of joy that blurred with shades of anguish, transforming tragedy into memory. As the mural took shape under local artists' hands, the community rallied. A sense of unity blossoming out of the shared tragedy. Amidst this mobilization, Weaver felt the weight of an unsettling truth. While justice had been served, unresolved questions still lingered in the shadows. What drove Marcus to that violent end? Had she, in the pursuit of justice, inadvertently allowed the town to overlook deeper issues hidden beneath its quaint facade? In the following weeks, the town grappled with its narrative who Mia was, and who Marcus could have been, had they reached out for help. Weaver organized gatherings to promote mental health awareness, advocating for open discussions on emotional well-being through art shows, workshops, and community forums. Each platform became an outlet for healing, allowing residents to express their hurt and pain through the very medium Mia once cherished. As seasons changed, Willow Creek transformed. The final colors of autumn gave way to the starkness of winter. But in that stillness, Detective Weaver found herself standing before the mural several times, her reflection dancing against vibrant strokes of color. It served as a reminder that while the pain of loss was profound, the beauty of life's connections was equally potent, a balancing act that the town, much like her, would always carry forward. The scars of the past would linger, but the flicker of hope kindled by a community's resolve shone brighter than the shadow that once enveloped them. And so, with each dawn that broke over Willow Creek, it became clearer that they were forever intertwined in a fresh narrative, one of solidarity, remembrance, and an unwavering journey toward healing. Reflection. As the winter months receded and the glimmers of spring emerged in Willow Creek, Detective Sarah Weaver found herself in quiet moments of profound reflection. The weight of the case and its rippling consequences lingered in her mind like a haunting refrain. The once ordinary patterns of her life had been irrevocably altered, intertwined with the memories of Mia Jensen's art, laughter, and the tragedy that unfolded all too swiftly. Standing before the mural, depicting Mia's beauty and vitality, Weaver felt a bittersweet sense of closure mixed with lingering sorrow. Each color and stroke resonated deeply within her, reminding her of how fragile life could be. The town was healing, yet the edges of grief remained sharp for many. As she watched children play nearby, weaving vibrant stories of their own, she recognized that Mia's legacy stretched beyond the canvas. It had imprinted itself indelibly on the hearts of everyone who knew her or her art. In the following months, she faced yet another layer of the aftermath. The realization that some stories do not end neatly, that healing can be a messy and complex journey. The echoes of Marcus Reed's decisions lingered, reminding her of the intricate tapestry of mental health that too often unraveled in silence. It emboldened her commitment to foster open conversations within the community, encouraging them to seek help, support one another, and embrace vulnerability as a strength rather than a weakness. As she stepped back from the mural, the early sunlight spilling over its colors, she found solace in a deep-rooted belief that while tragedy creates shadows, love and connection pave the path toward light. The layers of pain were still there, but so were the colors of hope, a promise that life, though imperfect, could be transformed through understanding, compassion, and the courageous act of reaching out.